What's up, everybody? Welcome to the team of Fish Nichols YouTube channel. So this week is NAIC. Congratulations, we made it to the end of the season. I'm excited, and one of the big things that people like to do is they actually like to do drafts. They like to draft who they think is going to win NAIC with friends and stuff like that. But we're going to do something a little bit different. I'm going to predict who I think is going to win and who to really look out for NAIC. There's a couple factors that I have in place. So we'll definitely go over that. But I think this can help people who are drafting and haven't drafted yet. Instead of just picking like their friends and whoever else they want to, they really need to look at like everything overall, not just so much like who they're friends for and let's root for our friends. If you want to take these drafts seriously, like this is the video you want to watch. I'm gonna give you a lot of info, and then if you're also curious, like what big names should I look out for, this is the video for you. It's a very cool video that I really like looking at. So you kind of see like, okay, if I hit this player, is this somebody I should be nervous about? Like, what have they done this year, right? And if you are drafting, like I said, who should you watch out for and pick and stuff like that? Because a lot of people, they just pick their friends and they're like, okay, that's cool, that's great. But will that win you that draft? I don't know. So the first thing that you really want to look at is, let's look at the global leaderboard. This is provided by Limitless. I trust Robin's math more than Pokemon, so we're gonna go off this instead of looking at the Pokemon leaderboard, because that could be influenced by like cups and challenges and stuff like that. Not to take away from those, of course, at all, but we will look at these bigger tournaments. We'll look at the regionals. We'll look at the ICs and stuff like that. So in first place is Zul Garcia Griego, fantastic player, 228 points. Grant Manley is a 207. Tor's at 174. Reagan's at 171. Calvin's at 161, and Alex Mason 150, Caleb Gittimer, and Grant Chien, Nicholas Moffat, and John Ing. So these are all big players. We know who these players are, right? But the big thing about this, when you look at just points from global, past 12 months, this is like a bunch of different formats, stuff like that. Now, we really haven't had a tournament in this new format as of just yet, but I think it's more interesting to look at the rotation instead. But still, if you're picking these 5 names right here, Azul, Grant, Tor, Reagan, and Calvin, fantastic picks. But what we really need to start looking more towards is actually the player rankings for the Battle Styles through Scarlet and Violet, because this is the new rotation, and it does change a little bit. Reagan moves up from 4th to 1st, so actually Reagan is the most consistent. Like, I'm going to get points at every big tournament in this. So that's actually interesting to note. Reagan is, just won at regionals, a fantastic player. Look at this, like 1st, 3rd, 2nd, 9th, 44th. So you can see very consistent with that Lugia deck, and I imagine they'll probably still play Lugia going forward. Azul's still on there, does drop from 1st to 2nd place, but Azul's still doing great, playing the consistent Lost Zone. So if you're a fan of Lost Zone, this is maybe a player you want to pick up. But with Azul, usually he makes day 2, which is fantastic, but doesn't really make it to the top 8 a lot. And, it's going to get you points, 100% going to get you points. Azul is a fantastic, consistent player. But it looks like when they get closer to, top 16, top 8, they don't get there 100%. While you look at Reagan, and it's a 1st, 3rd, 2nd, 9th, 2nd. And I'm just trying to show you, like, why the rankings really matter. I mean, they're both fantastic players. But that's why Reagan is higher up than Azul when you look at it. But Azul does give you great conversion points if you look at that. Grant Manley and Caleb, also two of Azul's kind of partners. So you have a 3-way tie with their partners. Looking at Grant Manley. Now, Grant Manley, once again, in that same boat, will consistently make, the day 2s and stuff like that. But does have higher placement. Got the 2nd, 3rd, and 5th. Maybe has missed some tournaments that I'm not aware of. It's kind of hard to see everything. And then we know Caleb has had that back-to-back 2nd. So really pulling off, having them more consistent now. Zora's chewing my hair. Thank you, Zora. Thank you, Zora. But Caleb is gaining steam, so I think Caleb is definitely somebody you want to look out for. With that second, I imagine Caleb, wants to get that very, very big, IC placement. We see Caleb has not got a top 4, 2nd, or 1st at an IC. And both, I think Grant Manley has a top 4, but no 2nd or 1st. While we know, of course, Zul does have that 2 1st, and 1 2nd. So maybe, Caleb's picking up steam. Maybe something to look out for. We know Alex Szymanski is number 5 right now. We've got that regionals, ERC. That's probably the big one right there. But outside that, it really hasn't done too consistent. The big boost thing right here is the EUIC 2023 for London. Winning it, of course, getting 5th place at Portland as well. But if you're going to, if you're trying to guarantee points, I think you're safer with, maybe, Caleb, Azul. Azul's for sure going to guarantee you points. Caleb's getting there. Grant's, great pick as well. Pedro doesn't have a lot of tournaments from Brazil, but when they do play, they are getting points. So that's very important to note. I think Pedro is definitely probably the best Latin American player. Is that safe to say? I would say so. I think so. They are doing fantastic. They just won first at Santiago. Sao Paulo, they got 54th. EUIC, they got 14th. And we'll talk about Pedro a little bit more. There's a variation to talk about. Tor Reklev is at 7. Andrew Hendrick as a 7th as well. So let's look at Tor's real quick. Hasn't really done much. The big leaderboards because of EUIC, but Malmo got 15, so nothing really there. While I look at Andrew really didn't have the blowout like EUIC performance, which is why he doesn't have as many points. But did get first place at the special event. Got 73rd at Hartford. 27th at Milwaukee in regional Fresno. Got 3rd. So maybe Andrew Hendrick is a little bit more better pickup than Tord right now. But we know Tord is the IC champ. So it's very interesting to look at. And also Andrew Hendrick has won multiple regionals back-to-back this year. So that's very interesting to point out and talk about. He's been on a run there. Calvin, Connor, and Pedro tied for 9th place. Calvin, so what are you doing? She's been everywhere. Calvin, really, once again, the EUIC 41st, okay, that's, big thing. But get 20th and 4th at Fresno. So we're seeing a little bit of a pickup from Calvin with the Portland and Fresno. So Calvin could be a good pickup. Didn't really do well at EUIC. I mean, did get 41st. First of all, that's fantastic. Let me pick up Zora. Zora, oh my goodness. What's wrong, baby? You won't be in the video? Okay, let's go. All right, anyways, then we have Pedro Eugene Torres, fantastic player, does fantastic usually at these events. I don't know if they have been to mini tournaments, and that's why their points are not as, well, point up in the limitless, but 4th at EUIC, 6th at OCIC, so the points are a little bit up there, but usually a consistent loss on player. And after that, we got, let's see, Henry Brand. We'll talk about Henry Brand just a little bit. Decided, I didn't really play much. I didn't play like a lot of tournaments during the Lugia format. They did play at LAC, but after that, they really didn't play that much. And as you see, they jump up into June, winning Milwaukee, and then get 19th at Fresno. So Henry Brand might be a sleeper pick. They are on this like rampage right now with their Guardy deck, so it'll be kind of interesting to see when we go into that. So those are kind of the little factors there. You kind of see like who has a lot of points thanks to the ICs, but who's been on a pretty much tear. Like Reagan's definitely a good pick. Pedro doesn't have a lot of tournaments, so a good pick. I don't know if Tord's been playing a lot or just been missing. Andrew's a good pick. Pedro's. I'm trying to think of people who have been on like kind of a rampage. Reagan for sure. We know that Henry Brand's been on a rampage for sure. Andrew Hendrick's pretty good. Just didn't do well at IC. So yeah, those are pretty good names right there to pick up. Once again, everybody's fantastic. I'm just trying to who can guarantee you points? That is the big thing. Now, the last thing we're going to talk about, so we talked about, the player rankings, these top 5 players here. This year, I actually have a spreadsheet, and what I did is I took everybody who made top 64 and put them into this little spreadsheet. So I think this is a very interesting thing to look at, and I kind of did like a fake point placement kind of thing for me, breakout. But we'll look at, let's do this sheet first. So what I'm looking at is everybody who has made top 64 at the ICs in Gustavo Watto, Pedro Eugene Torres, Pedro Pertusi, and Tord Reklev. These are all players who have made into top 64 at the previous ICs. So these are probably players that you want to pick up. These are probably the most important 4 players to pick up because they are guaranteed, they're not guaranteed points, but their track record at ICs this year have been fantastic, right? So I think these are players, hey, if these are open and, your top 5 picks are gone, most play points, because once again, look at the rankings. Let's go overall, right? You got Gustavo Wada. Let's see if we can find Gustavo. If I can spell right. How far does this go? Oh, yeah, let's do 100. All right, now we should be able to find Gustavo. So, yeah, Gustavo's at 42nd, but we look at Gustavo's placements. Hasn't played too much. Maybe, has been busy with life or something. But when you look at the ICs, third place, right? Pedro, let's go to Pedro. Pertusi is at 15th, and UG Tour is at 17th. So once again, not the top 5. Maybe they'll have it as mini tournaments, could have been mini tournaments, but IC record, fantastic. Tord, once again, Tord is actually in the top 5, so Tord's probably, going to be picked up pretty early. But if you're, looking for players that are going to, pretty much guarantee points, those are pretty good ones to pick up. So I will look at that. And also, we could look at the second, people who have placed second, because that is still a good indication. I didn't look to see, like, hey, did they go to all 3 ICs? Like, I know Azul didn't make top 64 at all 3. He did make top 128 at one of them. So that's, but these could be some other good players to pick up. We know Sanders, really a good track record of making it into day 2 and stuff like that. I think he did have one IC who didn't go too hot, but I imagine he's got a hold in the meta. Could be good to pick up as well. And yeah, these are fantastic players. You could look at too. I know Ryan Antonucci's been like, grinding. So you could look out for him. Let's see. I'm trying to think of people I know on top of my head. John Ing is ready to go. He's been playing a lot. Is Julius coming to IC? I don't know. See, this is a part of the gamble too. You have to kind of know, are these players actually coming or not? Interesting. But you got to think that the top out of the top 3, these players are definitely coming. So I definitely pick up these. But then you're looking at the second people who have made top 64 at 2 or more places. These are people you want to look into. So definitely check these out. Once again, some of these players are not going to be on that list. But man, making 2 placements out of 3 ICs is still pretty good. Top 64. And I don't know what, point breakout is. Usually top 64, sometimes top 128 gets you points in the drafts. But that's why we only went down to top 64, because I think top 64 is a better one. And then we look at this other sheet 5, and we're gonna look at overall points. This tallies up, whatever this fake system I kind of made up here, and we start looking at who's the number 1 player. We could look at this, and Tor Reklov number 1. So Tor Reklov gonna get your points. You're good to go. Azul, boom, 13. He's a good pickup once again. Didn't do so hot at one of the ICs, but still the ICs he obviously placed very, very high. Then we have Alex Szymanski did win one, since we got high placement. Pedro, we know he placed 3, so that's really good. We have Tord number 1 right now, so 19 IC points in my little fake scheme thing. Grant Manley is another good pickup. And some of these players you're not going to see, like Raul Reddy. I know he is hungry, and he's number 16 on the list, so definitely check out him. Yeah, so there's a lot going on here, but I think if you see these are players that have made 6 or more points in this little breakout. Like, that's how consistent they are. Now, don't get me wrong. You could pick somebody who doesn't have any points, and they could win. 100% could win. But these are players that you want to look out for, kind of how the points break out. So once again, you look at here. You're looking at who's placed the most all 3 times. Gustavo, Pedro, Tord. Those are probably early pickups that you want to do. You look here, you want to get the Tord, you want to get Reagan, Pedro again, Owen, Azul, Alex. These are all great pickups. I'm just trying to, give you an overall kind of, who you should pick up for. But these players as well. These are players you want to look into. They're most likely going to be at NAIC, trying to get those last points, trying to get the top, 16, top 8, top 4, whatever kind of thing. And then you look at these lists, and then there's some players that aren't even on here. The Australians are not on here pretty much at all, I think. No, Henry's not on here, and he's grinding for points right now. So that's pretty interesting. Henry's, on here. I don't think Jonathan is on there either, because they only went to EUIC, but they went to NAIC as well. They did get 24th, and that is kind of interesting that you look into, is like who did well at NAIC last year. Maybe didn't play too much this year, and they most likely will be coming back again. That could be something to look into. So there's a lot of things to look at. I think the cool thing is, look at the player rankings, right? And then, like I said, this is through Battle Styles, through Scarlet and Violet, which might be a great indication, because who's got a hold on the meta after rotation, because this is overall. But overall still good, but like rotation is definitely a different ball game. And then once again, I see consistency wise, pick these 4. Here's some good names. So I think this does help out a lot. If you're looking for do some drafts, hopefully this helps. Hopefully you know what players to pick now. I kind of did your homework for you. So go out there, do some drafting. If you think I missed somebody, let me know. Once again, this doesn't talk about anybody that could have breakout performance. You could have a best friend that you know has been like doing fantastic at testing it, so pick them. That's great. Pick their friends, right? But if you're trying to be super serious and trying to win those drafts, this is what you want to look at. But guys, hope you enjoyed the video. Thanks for watching. We'll see you tomorrow. Alrighty, bye.